Oh, hello YouTube. Today in the Naughty Librarian, I am going over my June wrap-up and my July TBR list. Once again, I am combining these videos because frankly, I did not read a whole lot in June. It's not worth having its own video, so we're gonna double up this time again. So for June, I read 4 books, and the only category here is required reading. I don't know what it was about June. I just couldn't make myself read at all. Like, I just didn't want to read anything, and I was stressed out. So I pretty much just only read things that I was required to read for like videos or book club. That was it. End of list. So let's just get into it. Basically, I've kind of already reviewed most of these already. So we're just gonna start off here with Blackwood Farm by Anne Rice. I actually really enjoyed this one. It does have that signature Anne Rice sexual terror at points, but overall I do really like it. We get introduced to a new character named Quinn Blackwood, and he is just the most likable little guy you've ever met. He's basically everybody's kid brother without even trying to be. So basically he's so likable that I will like rip the flesh off of other people's bones if they try to hurt him. Like, that's how I feel about Quinn. Also, this is kind of continuing that crossover era for the Vampire Chronicles and Mayfair Witches, because Rowan Mayfair's in this, Mona Mayfair's in this. It's very much their stories are intertwining in this book. So overall, I very much enjoyed it, actually. Surprise of all surprises. And I have a whole video recap on this one. So go ahead and check that out if you want the whole scoop. So yeah, basically, I think give it like 4.25 stars. I quite enjoyed it. I'm still continuing on with my James Bond read-along recap series. So I read Moonraker by Ian Fleming. And this one is kind of a surprise in the James Bond like series because it is strangely feminist. I'm as surprised as you are. The whole like theme of this book is women experiencing discrimination in the workplace, as well as, you know, women aren't prizes that you win for doing a good job. And it's very clearly the authorial intent in here, where he's making fun of sexism and like saying sexism is stupid. Look how idiotic these guys are. And even when James has his sexist moments in here, even James is like, what the fuck is wrong with me? At the end of it. And it's one of the only few James Bond books, or really any story involving James Bond, where he doesn't get the girl in the end, which only like solidifies that point that women aren't prizes. So surprisingly feminist and also considerably much better than the movie counterpoint. I hate Moonraker the movie. I said what I said. It's my least favorite James Bond film out of all of them. It's really bad. Moonraker the book, pretty good actually. So do check it out. I have a whole video recap on this one. In the end, I think give this like 4 stars because, like, let's be real, the first like half of this book is pretty boring, but the second half, ooh, that picks up some steam and it gets going real good. And our heroine Gala is so awesome. So overall, this is actually a really interesting book. Strangely enough, super feminist. Who would have thought? The inaugural episode of the Vintage Lesbian Read-Along series what happened in June, and it was Patience and Sarah. And I mean, there is a whole video over on Beautifully Bookish Bethany's channel where we discuss the whole thing. So I'm not going to get too much in depth with it here, but I did not care for it. I can appreciate this book coming out in the 1960s and just being so lesbian, unabashedly lesbian. And also like a lesbian with a happily ever after. It's not like a lesbian story where they both end up miserable and dying or something. So having like a happily ever after lesbian romance in the 60s, I can appreciate it for that purpose. However, that being said, it doesn't mean I necessarily wanted these characters to end up together because, like, yikes. Like, Patience is kind of the worst, I'll just say. She's very manipulative. She's older than Sarah by probably, I don't know, almost 10 years. So she obviously knows more about the world than Sarah does. And I think she uses that a lot to manipulate Sarah into doing what she wants. And I don't know why that's not explored more in the book as a bad thing. So basically this is like pioneer era, and there's these two women, they fall in love with each other, and then they move away to go buy a farm and live on a farm together. And like, that's it. It's pioneer farmer women who are in love. So it's fine, I guess. I don't know. I ended up giving it like 2 stars because it has its moments where I thought it was fun, but overall it's kind of a bucket of yikes, but I appreciate what it did for the genre. Last up on required reading this month, I read The Salt Grows Heavy by Cassandra Khaw. This was for my patron and channel member book club. Luckily it was very short too, so I read this all in one day, and I really wanted to enjoy this much more than I did, because basically it's like a super gory version of like The Little Mermaid, but like make it horrific. Like, this Little Mermaid story doesn't start off with the Little Mermaid finding her prince and like going to the surface to like fall in love. This is like, no, the prince literally kidnapped the girl out of the ocean and forced her to live on land with him. So it already starts off on this very dark note. And from there, basically, I feel like this story is torture porn, but written in purple prose. Like, it's very beautifully written. It feels poetic. But it's also poetic about people being eviscerated, like, multiple times. Like, I'm just gonna tell you right now, if you have issues with gore or body horror, this is not the book for you, because like every other page, someone's getting some body part ripped off. Like, it is extreme for the level of gore in this like 100-page book. It's bonkers how many times someone gets like something ripped off. And I can appreciate what the author is doing. Like, they're trying to find the beauty in the grotesque. So I get it. I just don't particularly like it or see the point in it. Then again, does art need a point? No, it does not, but that's a much longer conversation that we're going to not get into in this video. Essentially, there wasn't really a goal or point to all of this trauma. It just kind of happens and written about in pretty language, but it's just basically torture porn for like 100 pages. I said what I said. I wanted to like it more than I did. So I don't know, it's fine. I gave it like 2.5 stars. It was fine. All right, so that wraps up June. Let's move on to what's on deck for July. Sticking with the theme of required reading, I have 3 of those. So let's get into that. First things first, I have Diamonds Are Forever by Ian Fleming, continuing on my James Bond series. And I'm very excited to reread this one because it's actually one of my favorite books of the whole series. I think it's incredibly underrated. The gist here is like it's 1950s Las Vegas, and there is a diamond smuggling ring with like mobsters and stuff, and James gets sent in to like stop the smuggling ring. And also it's very introspective. Like, I'll get more into it when I do my full video recap here, but like it's one of James' most introspective books about like his love life in particular. And also it has some amazing action sequences. James is in the United States, so we get some Felix Leiter action in this. Like, I don't want to like give away too many spoilers here, but like there's a whole sequence of like a fight on a train, and it's really action-packed. So like, I genuinely really like this book, so I'm very excited to reread it and see what hits different this time. Continuing on with the Vampire Chronicles read-along, which I am almost done with. I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself when I run out of books, but I'm reading Blood Canticle by Anne Rice. This is another big crossover with the Mayfair Witches and the Vampire Chronicles. Their stories are getting very intricately intertwined. And this starts off pretty much exactly right where like Blackwood Farm ended. So I am very excited to see what happens next. And it's also a shorter edition of the series, so I'm also excited that it's not like gonna take me like several days to read. It's shorter, and it's going to be like, it's gonna be bonkers. I don't know what's gonna happen in this, and I'm very excited to be reading it. So yes, Blood Canticle by Anne Rice. Very excited. Continuing on Vampire Chronicles. My patron and channel member book club pick for this month is Witch King by Martha Wells. And I am really excited this one won the poll. Like, I haven't read anything fantasy related from Martha Wells. I've only read like the Murderbot series from Martha Wells. So this is like a brand new genre for me, but I feel like it's gonna have that same signature snark involved that I'm very excited about. This one features Kai. He was a magical king. Like, he's a king who had magic. And he gets assassinated, and then like a long time goes by where his consciousness was like kept trapped in this like thing, and then some other wizard starts trying to steal his magic, and that's not gonna go well. So like Kai like comes back to life. He breaks out of his prison. He's like, the fuck is happening here? So he has to figure out, why was he assassinated? What's going on in the world since he's been assassinated? Gotta get the gang back together, one of those type of things. And I'm just excited. I think it's gonna be so snarky and sarcastic and just like fun to read. So yes, Witch King, patron and channel member book club. We're gonna have our exclusive book club chat at the end of the month, so very excited to read it with all of you. For the Blades and Bodice Rippers book club, I'm going to be reading The Cask. We are doing OG 23, which is basically the OG version of whatever genre we pick. And The Cask is an OG detective story. I think it came out in the 1920s. And like, I literally know nothing else about it because I haven't looked up any more information. But like, I'm okay with that. I'm like, okay going in blind because I want to just be immersed in the story and enjoy myself. So this month, our book club is going to be over on Mara's channel. That's Books Like Whoa, the last Saturday of the month. I am excited to like get with everybody and read this because like book club is fun because we always dress up. So we're gonna have our detective glory dress up this month. It's going to be super fun. I'm very excited about it. Next category is sci-fi, and I'm gonna be reading one of them to mix things up. So I have The Archive Undying by Emma Miko Candon. And I can't even really begin to explain like the world building in this one because it's so intense. Basically, there's these cities that are robots with an AI like god consciousness. And when a city goes insane, it like kills everything it touches, and then the city falls, etc. Except that this time, this AI god went bonkers, killed everybody, and then resurrected his favorite person that lived in the city. And so now this guy, Sunai, has just been wandering the earth for like 17 years, now immortal and cannot age or die because he got resurrected by an AI god. So he's just wandering around, you know, drinking and doing drugs and sleeping with all kinds of dudes. Just like living his life, I guess. And then, like a lot of people, he sleeps with the wrong person and gets thrust back into a path of going back after these like AI gods and cities and stuff. He gets thrust right back to where he came from, and adventure ensues. So I'm not 100% sure what happens in this. Obviously, I haven't read it, but it sounds like such a cool premise that I'm like kind of obsessed with it. So I am very excited to be reading it in July. Fingers crossed I actually read all of these. Who knows what the future holds, but I'm gonna try my darndest. Last category is romance, and I got 3 of them because basically all I'm in the mood to read is like smut. Like, I just want something funny and smutty and I don't have to think too hard about. That's all I really want to read right now, so I'm kind of like loading my deck with those, so to speak. First things first, I have Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey. And this is the sequel to Secretly Yours. And Tessa Bailey is a book writing machine because Secretly Yours came out at the beginning of this year. Like 2 books the same year. It's bonkers. So this one in particular is August and Natalie. We met them in the first book. They have very much an enemies to lovers kind of situation. And they're going to throw in a marriage of convenience here. And I love those stories because guess what, everybody? They fall in love for real at the end. I love them so much. So there's going to be a lot of bickering, a lot of smut, because Tessa Bailey, she will never do you wrong in the smut category. Like, she writes grade A smut. So it's going to be funny and smutty. I'm not going to have to think too hard. It takes place modern day in Napa, so I don't have to like learn a new world. It's just gonna be fun and easy to read. So yes, it's check it off all of my boxes this month. I'm just gonna have a good time with it, basically. I also have An Island Princess Starts a Scandal by Adriana Herrera, and I have been wanting to read this one very badly. This is continuing on her Las Leones series, and in this one we're actually following Manuela. So Manuela, she's a bit wild. She also is going to be forced into a marriage she doesn't want. This is her last summer of freedom. She wants to paint and do her own thing. Enter Cora, the Duchess of Bristol. And she's a ruthless businesswoman, and she wants the land that Manuela owns, but she won't sell it. So Manuela's like, listen, I want to go to Paris. I want to have like my summer of fun, and I want to paint, and you're going to be my best friend this summer. And then when the summer is done and I get forced into this marriage, like, maybe I'll let you buy my land. And really, what choice does Cora have here? She has to just accept these terms. So she's like, okay, fine. And then, you know, like awkward buddy comedy ensues, that then they fall in love for real. And I'm like really into this. I think it's gonna be so fun. Adriana Herrera never does me wrong. She's an author I love consistently, so I'm very excited to be reading this one. Last up here, I have Anna Maria and the Fox by Liana de la Rosa. This is a new author for me, and also a book that used to be on a different TBR that I never read, and it's back on this one. So here we are again. This is Victorian era. You have Anna Maria. She gets sent to London to escape like the French occupation of Mexico. And she's there doing her own thing. And then, you know, like there's evil dudes who are having their own like things happening. And then enter Gideon Fox, who is like a self-made man. He kind of came up from the gutter. Now he has a lot of money and a lot of influence in Parliament. He's trying to abolish the Atlantic slave trade. Good for him. And he kind of has to step in to this situation to protect Anna Maria from these evil other dudes. And he's like, uh-oh, I will offer my hand and maybe my heart. I don't know. One of those things. They're gonna fall in love for real. And it might be a fake dating situation. So, yes. Made of things that I know I'm gonna like, so I'm very excited about this one. Like I said, I'm just loading my deck with things that are like smutty and fun. I'm just gonna enjoy. All right, so that is all that's on deck for July. I didn't want to go too ambitious with it because I haven't been fulfilling my TBR lists like in months at this point. So, you know what? June's over. We're getting rid of that bad energy. We're coming into July with good energy. Let me know in the comments down below. Are you in a reading slump? If so, what do you do to get out of a reading slump? Or what are you excited to read for the rest of the summer? What are your summer jams? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. If you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And if you want cool exclusive content, including early access to videos and a book club, you can consider becoming a channel member or a patron. Links for that are in the description down below. And on that note, I will see you guys soon. Goodbye.